meeting to order. We begin with the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Any adjustments to the agenda?
No, I was here during the hours you were meeting.
That's right. Motion to approve then as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Be quick.
Really quick.
Public forum. Does anybody have an issue or something they want to bring to the attention of the board that's not already on the agenda? Folks? Yes, sir.
The oddballs out.
I've never been to one of these, so I'm not sure if there's a formal address, so please excuse me if I missed that. But I'm Luke Patry. I own and operate Kate Spotter with my family on Route 111. And I learned, do I have a time limit?
No.
Okay. I learned a couple days ago about an animal husbandry ordinance that's being revised and up to vote on Wednesday. I believe it's in front of you folks.
No, it's in front of the town meeting.
Okay.
Annual town meeting.
Okay, so that's kind of the end-all be-all for ordinances?
Correct.
Okay, well, anyway, I wish I'd known about it sooner because I certainly could have helped out, because the way that the ordinance is written, it basically puts every dairy farmer in town into non-conforming. So the language for acreage, they used a 365-day-a-year grazing schedule for animals. So 1 cow per acre, 2 cows per acre is a grazing schedule for something out west or down south where cows are on pasture year round. And everybody knows in the Northeast that's not possible. So the language in the ordinance is written such that unless you have designated acreage for pasture, then you basically don't have enough acreage to have the animals that you have. So for example, if you have 50 cows, you need to have 50 acres of designated pasture or livestock pen in order to be a conforming use. So if you don't have that, like basically every farm in town, then you're immediately non-conforming, so you need to go through the permitting process to be exempted under the ordinance. Now, part of that is a lot of costly improvements or whatever you want to call it. So for example, covering manure pit. As a dairy farmer, we're governed by the state best management practices, and if you go over 50 animals, you're governed by the nutrient management program. Under that, which most of the farms in town are, we don't have to adhere to that. But we are governed by by the best management practices. And the state basically sets the tone for what dairy farmers must do in order to participate. And the town goes above and beyond that with the ordinance requiring covered manure pit, aerial photography, topographical surveys. They are requiring a manure management plan, whether you statutorily need to have one or not. Those are about 10 grand. And then a whole host of other things. So basically what I'm getting at is, as a dairy farmer, we're governed by the state, and the state actually has a Right to Farm Act, which exempts dairy farmers from municipal ordinances. So if this ordinance goes through the way that it's written, it puts everyone into non-conforming use. If some people who are too busy to conform or whatever, dairy farmers have a lot to do, if they're too busy to conform, then they'd be in violation of ordinance. And that in itself is a violation of state law. So the way that this is written is inherently a violation of state law. And that's kind of the objection that I take with it. And I really think that the language in this could have been adjusted to benefit everyone. And the right people were initially brought in. I spoke with Wayne Monroe today, who's a part of the USDA Cooperative Extension in Scarborough. And he said that he came in early on in this ordinance. And when they got to covered manure storage, he talked about state law, and no one wanted to have any of it. So that was the end of Wayne Monroe. He stepped aside and just kind of let things go where they went. So I don't know if it makes any difference to you folks, and how this goes forward with town meeting and those types of things, but I mean, there are serious legal implications that this opens the town up should they decide to act on an ordinance that violates state law. So,
Are you going to be at town meeting tomorrow, Wednesday night?
I am unfortunately gonna be out of the country.
You might wanna send some representative to make those arguments.
Well, absolutely, and we contacted municipal legal advisor Bruce Reed in Kennebunk.
Yep.
And he was gonna go over the documents that I provided him for the state law, nutrient management plan, all that stuff, and draft up a letter that basically summarizes what I've said. So, we're gonna present that to the town, and Allison will be at the meeting, she's gonna be here, but unfortunately I'm gonna be gone.
Okay, anybody else, if it's, I think it's Article 5, when it comes up, it's Article 5 in the town report book.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple of books left up here on the table.
Yeah, oh, I
Yep.
think they got them.
But I think it's Article 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where you need to, step up and read the letter. And if you have any other voters,
Mm-hmm.
town voters, to bring with you,
Sure,
bring them with you.
absolutely.
What's, number 6 in our book is exemption of existing operations. Did you read that?
I did.
All right,
Yeah.
that does not.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at number 5 before the exemption, it spells out exactly what acreage means, and that's what I'm talking about. So the definition of acreage doesn't include land used for food production like it should. So for example, if you've got 50 acres of hayfield and you've got 20 cows,
Right.
you've now, according to this definition, have to take a portion of that hayfield designated as pasture and then somehow create more hayfield.
Okay.
So according to this definition. If they had just thrown in there, acreage refers to land amount used for pasturing, feeding, or enclosing livestock, then problem solved. But the language that it reads, it doesn't include hayfield as usable acreage for animals.
And I think Article 6 talks about, equestrian stables.
In the event that Article 5 gets defeated, can we call upon you perhaps to assist the planning board to redo the,
Absolutely, I'd love to help.
great,
Yeah.
that's super, yeah. I mean, information like that would be helpful. I mean, many of the board members, I'm sure, are not farmers
Exactly.
and don't know the ins and outs.
And I can tell you, there's maybe 10 of us in town, and I know a lot of the guys don't have a lot of time,
Sure.
but I think it would have been beneficial if someone had reached out early on in the process, because this thing could have been streamlined to, and I'm still not even sure what the goal of this is to address, if there's a problem somewhere, but this thing could have been completely streamlined to allow people to get into the business, but also to support the people who are currently in it, while servicing the public of the town.
You might wanna also contact them, make sure they're there Wednesday night. It's here
Mm-hmm.
in the gym, Wednesday night, starts at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So, get them in here.
Wasn't the animal husbandry, that was brought up by somebody that wanted to make some changes, right?
I think the existing animal husbandry section of the ordinance is fairly bizarre as well, and they were
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to repair what they thought they were dealing with animal units, and nobody knew what that was,
Yeah.
and could define
Well,
that.
the state's best management practices is very comprehensive. It's fairly specific. It also leaves a lot of room for individual situations. And it does spell out the nutrient management plan, so if you reach over those 50 animal units, then you according to the state, you need to have it.
Mhm.
So even just having that in here would have been very clear.
Appreciate the info.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No, okay. Minutes of, May 29, 2018.
Move to accept?
The only thing I would note here, it doesn't have
How
to,
you
be-
want to-
doesn't have to change the minutes, but I think Donna DeKinner was raising the issue with the public hearings. I think it was just not this board, as the planning board, probably more importantly, the planning board than us, so.
Yeah, so we should mention that
Yeah,
within the public forum
Right.
piece.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Very good, I'll make the note and change it.
As amended.
I'll second.
All in favor? Everything's up at your digs, how things going up there? Is there a fire up there, your
Yeah,
place?
there's 15, 20 fire trucks and at least 50 firemen, so I didn't think they needed me. It's right behind my gravel pit.
Oh,
Be-
okay.
be-
Over
Between
in
my,
Bedford?
between my stuff and the trailer park, and they're up there, 50 guys walking around trying to figure out how to get to it. Cause they can't get to where the fire is from my place, can't get to it from Bedford, can't get to it from the trailer park, so they're gonna have to hike in with tanks on their back. Tanks,
Wow.
like we used to do in the old days.
Wow. Okay, committee and board reports, we don't have anything there. Managers report. Touch a truck?
Yeah, just, I guess the Affinity, Federal Credit Union is going to be, holding a Touch a Truck event on July 21st. Just to give you some information, I was contacted by the sheriff's office, who is going to be intimately involved in this, particularly because it's on Route 111 and the traffic. But essentially, what I understand, they'll be contacting, could be contractors and, people that operate tractor trailer trucks and everything like that. Large equipment will be there, and kids can come in and, sort of like they do with fire trucks and things like that. This is Touch a Truck, so and they'll be sponsoring it. So I thought if we had the information, I'd let you know. In your packet, I also provided to you the memo from the chairman of the York County Budget Committee. They're having a public hearing on the budget, unfortunately the same evening as the annual town meeting here. So Wednesday, June 13th at 6:30. They did provide some documentation, including what the overall budget sheet looked like, the proposed budget, and what the breakdown per community was. So I provided that in your packet. The only note that I would make, and you would see that our amount has gone down about $22,000 as a result of, from the previous year, as a result of that 5-year plan that we have there to make the fiscal change for the county government. Just to let you know that the District Court of Biddeford has created an order on the Eastern Trail dog issue for us. I've provided a copy of that within your packet. And I've also provided in my manager's report essentially what occurred evidently when the ACO went to pick up the dog. She first was indicated that the dog had already been given to this Mr. Sylvester. Come to find out subsequently that was not the case. I contacted the York County Sheriff's Office, and one of our deputies went down. In fact, the dog was there, so we called the ACO and secured the dog. The dog then was taken to the Welfare Society in Kennebunk. The whereabouts of Mr. Sylvester, part of the order, according to the ACO in Biddeford, he doesn't live at that place. So we followed the order and took the dog to Kennebunk. So we're hoping that issue is over with. And I think the order again speaks for itself as to what else will happen in the event that something else occurs on the Eastern Trail with that dog, any other dogs owned by the gentleman or himself. And finally for me, I just wanted to let you know that I did provide to you updated expense details for the upcoming annual town meeting, the sheets that you have. Those will have all the, as of June 5th, the expenses to date. And then the other piece that I provided to you was a sample of the annual town meeting warrant with explanations that will be available as a handout at the meeting for folks if they want to see that and get some more information prior to the meeting. That information has also been placed on the website, So if you go to the front page, you click on the annual town meeting, it will bring up the warrant and the explanation, so. So you have all that?
Nothing listed under old business, under news business, we need to write off 2018 real estate taxes for the Limerick Road property.
Could I have that business for just a second?
Oh, sure, Phil, I'm sorry.
I got a call the other day from our friend wanting to know what kind of progress we've made on the personal property tax thing.
Yes, as I said to you, the letters will be going out, the ones that we do know, we're gonna go out there, we're gonna look at the locations, I've instructed the, tax assessor to identify the ones, if she goes by and sees things there, we're gonna send out some information to them, and then we'll follow up, accordingly.
That's basically what I told him
Okay.
on the phone.
Okay.
Thank you.
If he needs any more information, Phil, you know, be happy to, I mean, he came in my office before, and
Yeah,
I'd be more than happy to talk with him and have him, sit with him.
thanks.
Yep.
Okay, back to the issue of tax abatement or writing off the amount owed on the Limerick Road property that they requested a tax collector.
We knew that going in, right? Didn't we
I-
talk about that?
I think so, and I thought about it at the closing, but, and then it sort of swiftly left my mind, but, in her due diligence of putting the things together, she noticed it right off and brought it to my attention, so we certainly need some action by you folks tonight to waive that or write it off.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, next item is apparently a change in our property and casualty insurance coverage. This is being recommended by the manager.
Right, I provided to you, some information that MMA Risk Management had given to us. I gave you a little bit of the packet highlighting the subsequent changes. It's my view, based on municipalities the size of Arundel, that the MMA Risk Management Services really provides us a lot of tools that we don't have to pay for, that really help us through insurance process and procedures. For me personally, some of the best things would be getting a hold of directly to the underwriters when the issues surfaced. Right now, the procedure would be that we have to go through our insurance company, who then goes to the other insurance providers that they buy the insurance through, and then the underwriters will send them a letter, then they'll get back to us via letter. So it sort of slows the process down a little bit. I like the educational pieces that MMA provide to us. We've also noticed that the amount of bonding, I didn't realize this, but any individual within the municipality that handles money needs to be bonded, not just the treasurer, deputy treasurer, and tax collector. So, they provide that blanket coverage for our employees, so they're well protected in the event that, something happens. And finally, for me, after a period of time of being with, the risk management services, we'll be able to provide, based on our exposure or our ability to keep our exposure down, dividend checks that will be returned to the town as being good customers. So, and I think that's a win-win for us. Not only are we being very frugal with the taxpayers' money, we may even get some money back. So, I think for all those reasons, and then there's a slight difference in the packages that they provide and the amount that it cost us. So, we estimate right now we're probably gonna save about $4,000 just off the premium cost by making the change. So for all those reasons, I recommend that we make the change to the property casualty pool through MMA.
Questions, folks?
No, I'll make a motion as such.
I'll second that.
All in favor then? We have it.
Okay, I have you to, I just need you to sign the back of this, be some of the municipal officers, they'll sign it.
Yarmouth Water District, York Sewer District, York Water District.
Don't breathe on that, all right?
Wanna use my pen?
Yeah.
Oh, buddies.
Sorry, Jason, you get no respect here at all.
Okay, we can move on to bid approval for mid-size truck plow body. Joshua.
Well, this is to replace a truck that's 32 years old, so
At all.
it's time. We've struggled with it. This is a military surplus truck we're replacing. And we haven't come up with any specs to send it on down the highway. There's some value in it. We don't get a lot for it, but anyway, there's basically two bids. Lee Dodge, it says Lee Auto on my spreadsheet, but it's actually Lee Dodge. And the difference between Lee Dodge's bid and Arundel Ford's bid was $2,407. Arundel Ford gave the lower bid. It would be hard to tell one of our largest taxpayers that we wanna buy something other than what he's buying, so I would recommend that we go with Arundel Ford's price on the chassis as well. They're a little bit more on the plow than some of the other vendors, but it's an install price in-house right there. I think that's the way to go. The body on it would be separate unless you wanna lump them together, but the first recommendation would be to go with Arundel Ford bid, including the plow. It price on the spreadsheet that I have is incorrect. And they
Give me
were
the wrong
actually,
spreadsheet?
no, I don't know. Mine says, nope, actually 59.50.
Right.
I was looking at Lee Dodge's, there's the $300 difference.
Yeah.
There,
And Arundel Ford at $37,238 for the cabin chassis and
Right.
$59.50 for the plow.
59.50, correct.
And we'll do the body on, at a separate time?
The body actually is from a different vendor. We're getting a body from someone that we've actually bought quite a bit of used equipment before. Brand new body for basically his cost. It's $82.95 from S.A. McLean, I don't know. It's a Downeaster body. Downeaster was also bid in several of these other bids. Lee Dodge's price was on a Downeaster body. Messrs was a different one. Viking was a Downeaster body. We went and looked at them, they make a good product. They rate Thompson. But that, if you want it all lumped together, or I don't know how you want it. But the recommendation for the body would be, at least that's a delivered to us price, not installed. I give you the breakdown for the other ones too. But he was basically $1,000 cheaper than the next one up for the same exact thing.
And
$92.45 was the next low bid for the same exact body.
you're gonna install it?
We'll put it on,
Is that a 550, Roger?
$554.
Diesel or gas?
Yes.
So we really are looking for two motions, and the first motion would be for the chassis and the plow together, and the next motion would be to purchase the body. The only issue I had, and I forgot to follow up with you, is that one of the companies, I think it was Fairfield, they were 12 weeks out to supply a body. How about Downeaster with Mr. McLean? Is he gonna have that
He told
body
me
for us?
it'd be about the same as the truck, because the truck is about 8 weeks out.
Okay,
So he's saying about 8 weeks. Some of those were actually on the galleon body as much as 16 weeks out, which would put us on the edge, it's not like, so, to get it in, get it put on and all that. Yeah, I'm sorry I said that.
And these,
Poor
and
little word.
these funds are in the budget?
well, interesting, yes, we have a bunch of money that's there now, and then with our these will all have to be pending on the annual town meeting, obviously, when we pass the 75,000 for the Public Works Department, because 50,000 of that, a little less than that, goes to the excavator. The remaining balance, along what we have in the budget, will cover the body and the chassis and plow. So we have the money.
I mean, the Rundle's the cheapest anyway, so I mean, it kinda makes sense to go with them no matter what.
I agree.
I would have liked to have tried one of the other ones, cause we've got a couple of 550s already, but how can you do that?
So I'll make a motion that we go to, we use a Rundle, for a sum of $43,188 for the truck and plow, Rundle Ford. Second.
Any further questions, discussion? All in favor then?
And then I'll make a motion that we go with the same McLean and Sons for the body for the sum of $8,285.
I'll second.
Any further on that? All in favor then? So be it.
That wouldn't have been my first choice to go with a gas truck. But when you get other people voting things, sometimes you get overruled, so.
See, the other thing is it's contingent on the annual town meeting vote, so, and I think we've made that quite clear to all the vendors
Yep.
at this point.
Yep.
That
Hey, after the town meeting,
got axed, and we may have to drop back and figure out what we're gonna do as plan B.
they know that.
What size motors are gas?
It's a V10, it's the only way the 550 will count.
Okay, yep. That's a good motor.
We'll be chasing gas in the middle of the night, but
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
we have diesel at the shop, we do not have gas, and I have no intention of getting it there either.
Okay, other business, we got a payable warrant,
So moved.
all in favor? Approved. Anything else?
Yeah, you gave us an update on the Du Bois thing?
Right, that's confidential,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah, not a public record.
Right.
When they say that,
Oh.
it means we gotta wait.
I know,
You
that's
wanna talk to me, after, or some other time?
Anything else anybody have? Okay. Should we have a vote for these two gentlemen here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Phil?
See you, Rog, thank you.
We got some tough competition.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're gonna make it or not.
I don't know how many ranked choice, do we do ranked choice?
Yeah,
God.
I didn't see many of your signs out there, either.
Nine.
God,
and
I
then,
don't need any.
there couldn't be any more signs out
yeah,
I still have my signs from when I originally ran in case I ever need them again.
yeah.
Mine are still in the corner of the garage.
Yeah. I never even used signs until I ran with Jason, because there was a third person that ran.
Yeah, who was that?
Was it Noel Holt?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember that.
I've never had signs before.
I ran against Paul. Paul, no budget board.
Really?
Paul Raymond.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was when the school.
Yep.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Yeah, yeah,
Go home.
Oh, 7:30, you're good.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
to
we,
wait.
So vote often tomorrow.
yeah.
I